the Deputy Governor of Anambra State, Dr. Onyekachi Ibezi. This is a youth-friendly government. You agree with me? Do you agree with me that this is youth-friendly government, right? You see, you may not know this, but sometimes over weekends and public holidays, our deputy governor, Speaker of the House of Assembly, some very young commissioners, and maybe myself, you see us going to play football with every other person that is around, maybe 5 aside. You know, oh, you're saying, if you are around, one day you will join us in 5 aside. It's government of young people. But then, I'm going to quickly bring them on stage for just a short discussion. Incidentally, Mr. Deputy Governor just flew in straight from Abuja, from the airport straight to this place. He gave me the assurance that he's going to be here because of the youths. And of course, the Speaker of the House of Assembly has been here since. They have other engagements. There are some other honorable people here, and that's a respect they have for you all here. Can you give them a round of applause? So without much ado, it's my pleasure, privilege, honor, to bring on stage Mr. Deputy Governor of Anambra State, Dr. Onyekachi Ibezi, to come on stage, quickly followed by the Speaker, Anambra State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Uche Episeni Okafor. They are going to be discussing briefly on the role of government in youth empowerment. Role of government in youth empowerment. They are most qualified to discuss these two topics. So I'm going to yield to them to take the stage. We still have one more discussion after that, but we'll have an entertainment section. Now, to anchor that is one of us, another wonderful lady in broadcasting, in entertainment. You all know her already. Ifeoma, please come forward. A round of applause for her. We also have Honorable Emeka Igwe to quickly join them in this discussion. Honorable Emeka Igwe, please come forward. Give a round of applause to the beautiful lady. She's our anchor person for this particular show.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bob Manuel. Hello, everybody. Are you still here? If you're still here, give a big shout. That's more like it. I humbly plead to stand on already established protocol, as I appreciate our fathers here on stage, the Deputy Governor, the number 2 citizen of Anambra State, and of course the Speaker, Mr. Emeka Igwe. Thank you so much for your presence. Now, I beg to take my seat, please. Thank you. Okay, my name is Ife Aronu Okafor, and this discussion that we're about to have is very critical, because we have a hall full of young people from different parts of Anambra State and indeed Nigeria. Panelists, Nigerian youths are here, and many others are watching us from around the world. So now let us get on to it. It's important for us to put in perspective what youth empowerment really is. In an era where people think that it's all about handing money to people, what essentially does youth empowerment mean? Mr. Deputy Governor, please.
Thank you. Well, When I see the youth first, I see the active parts of the society. When I see the youth, I see hope. When I see the youth, I see today and I see the future. So, having described it this way, youth empowerment is not all about money, but there is money. You need to bring out the best. First, you do what you call needs assessment. Every youth that I'm seeing here is filled with talents. So you look at the various areas and you begin to structure it. You do the training. At the other side of the training, what do? That is where various structures come in. And that is the youth empowerment proper. So to the government, I guess that's where you want to hear from.
Absolutely.
Okay, and I will also tell you what the governor of Anambra State is doing. Okay? His vision, his mission. Well, as this goes on, I think we will go further, but I think it's all about you. It's all about you. It's all about getting you involved in every aspect of life now so that the future can be guaranteed. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Deputy Governor. From what he has said, we can deduce that youth empowerment also entails education. In the wake of the 8-month-old strike that we just came out of, and we don't even know if we're going into another.
That, for me, is the meaning of youth empowerment. And when the Nigerian education institutions were on strike, I think that part of empowerment was deprived from our youth, and it is really, really, really bad. It is a very condemnable act. There is no reason whatsoever that we lead to lecturers going on strike and our kids staying at home. I must be sincere to say this. One of the questions she asked is, as legislators, what did government do during the strike to make sure? We legislators, we did hard meeting, the whole 36 state speakers. We had meeting, we brought it down to the State House of Assemblies, and we came up with a resolution, which we took to the National Assembly. Most of you might be aware that at some point, the National Assembly Speaker, Bajamila, invited the ASU, to have a discussion with them. That was based on offshoots of the discussion all the Nigerian legislators had. Because, if I'm not in the university, I have a cousin, or a brother, or a sister, or a son, or somebody that is in the university. And I, as somebody that studied in this country, when I went to Nsukka in 1996, I lost a year because of ASU strike. So instead of spending a 4-year course, I ended up spending 5 years. And I knew what that cost me. So I can imagine the psychological effect it's going to have on our kids. Somebody staying at home for whole 8 months, coming back to start writing an exam when the person has not even studied anything. Because at the end of the day, every university would like to meet up with the school calendar. Because, and the impact is on this youth. And that is why tomorrow people say that you have students that are coming out half-baked. It is not the youth's fault. It is not their fault. It is the fault of the government and the institutions. Because they didn't come in partnership, as it may be, for them to give the students what they want. So the government has done so well. In Anambra State, thank God, we have the solution governor. The state university we have here doesn't go on strike. The deputy governor will attest to that, because we decided to have our own different policy on tertiary education, apart from what the federal government have. And that is why Chukwuemeka Mogojuku University, no matter what, will never go on strike, because the government does what they're supposed to do in their own agreement with the lecturers there. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Now we herald the presence of the senator representing Anambra Central at the upper chamber of the National Assembly. Iyom Uche Bunife is here. Please let's give her a rousing applause as she comes on stage. As the senator takes her seat, we will continue. You're welcome. Odim, thank you so much, ma'am. Now, I'd like to come to Honorable Emeki Iwe to ask this question about the heightened insecurity in the country. We're talking about insurgency in some parts, kidnapping in other parts, and then cyber fraud as well. These are some of the vices Nigerian youths have been said to, oh, these are the things they do. They are part of this. Do you think that the government has done enough by way of youth empowerment to short-circuit these social vices? Of course, we know the tendencies are there already because of the get-rich-quick syndrome. Has government done enough? And what more can the government do? Remember, we have rural youth. It's not just those in school. The youth population, we have different sectors. How do we capture many of them and engage them? I'll pass the mic.
Thank you very much. Actually, there's 6 aspects of youth empowerment. You have the social aspect, you have the psychological aspect, you have the economic aspect. The government have not done enough. Unemployment, no education. And the problem, the major problem we have is the problem of unemployability. We have a lot of students, a lot of young youth coming out of the university that are not employable. Now, what do you want them to do? And this is where the government needs to come in. When it comes to economic development in society, it's the SMEs that hold the key. Is that not so? It's the SMEs that hold the key. And who are the people that make up the majority of the SMEs? They are young people. And that is the responsibility of government, making policies, making conducive environment for SMEs to thrive in the nation. When youths are engaged, they won't have time for crime. When they are engaged, they won't have time for crime. But because they are not engaged, schools are not in section. Even if schools are in section, how many families have the financial capability to send their children to private schools? Because the problem we have is not private schools, it's public schools. Is that not so? The problem are public schools. Public schools are not properly funded. And because they are not properly funded, you don't have the right environment for learning. You don't have the right tools for learning. You don't even have motivation for lecturers, for teachers to teach their students. And that makes what? The teachers, or the students, pass through school without learning much. And as the computer scientists will call it, garbage in, garbage out. That's what happens. So when students roll out of school, they are not employable. That is the major problem. It is not even unemployment. It's that most of the students that come out of public schools in Nigeria are unemployable. And what is the cause? It's our government. Till the time that the youths start holding people in government accountable for what they have given, the mandate that they have given them, till then, things will not change. The youth needs to stand up for their rights. It is your right because based on statistics, 2015, it is the youth that put the president in power. If the youth can organize, create the logistics, they can hold the government to account for whatever they have given them, every mandate that they have given them. And when they start doing that, you find out that things will start changing. The government will start putting things in perspective. And this will stop crime. once youths are engaged, crime will lessen. You can never rule crime out of any nation. Every country in this world has some kind of percentage of crime, yes. But what we're saying is to minimize it. What we have in Nigeria as of today is horrible, horrible. And I pray and pray that the youth will stand up for their rights. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that very concise response. Now, I opened a thread on Facebook, Makande Chole Juajojo, in case you want to ask questions. Please, you can drop your question there so that we do not go back and forth. I can actually bring together 2 questions and ask them in one if they are related. So all you need to do, are you on Facebook? Okay, please look for Ifi Aron Wokafo, that's my name. You will find this banner, Anambra Talent Show Lecture Series. You will find it there with the faces of the panelists. Put your question in the comment box so that I can read it out. There were questions for you actually, Senator. People posted some days ago, said I should ask you. Okay. This one is from The Bright. His name is The Bright Visual, and he says, the highest scam of the century is youth empowerment. It is another area that so many funds are embezzled without trace. Different organs of government should take their responsibility and stop all this noise. He calls it noise, especially when elections are coming. So does it mean that it's only when elections are coming that people bandy youth empowerment? He says, I should ask the senator this. And another person is asking, her name is Chioma Okala, and she says, we are yet to witness the impact the federal might on youth empowerment in this part of the world. Does it mean that the federal government is no longer releasing funds for youth empowerment? These are questions that Nigerian youths are asking. Makana Senator, she has to go somewhere, so we need to get it now before she leaves. I want to ask, Senator, are there available opportunities at the federal level presently that Nigerian youths, especially these core members watching us, can start utilizing? We heard of the End Power. There have been schemes, Kalila Kali. Where are we now? What do we have now? And how can we key in, right, guys?
Hello. First of all, I would like to appreciate Bob Manuel Udoku for putting this together. And I want to acknowledge all the personalities present this afternoon. I want to apologize for being here late. I boarded the plane and we had an hour and a half delay before landing in Asaba. But because of the importance I attached to this program, I just came home and changed and proceeded to this place. So I apologize. Having said that, I listened to contribution from the last speaker and the question from the damsel that is presiding over today's event. It's just everything is about youths. What is government doing? What is public sector doing? What the youths are doing also for themselves, very important. The government, of course, has a lot of programs through the Ministry of Youth and Development for Nigerian youths, not just at the federal level, but also at the state level and the local government level. We'll remember we have 3 tiers of government: federal government, state government, and local government. But unfortunately, the local government, that is the government closest to the people, is not functional because of the encumbrance of governors and local government administration. That is story for another day. As for what the government is doing to empower the youths, first of all, youths, can you say who you are? Every day ask yourself, who am I? Apart from having paper education, do I have any other skill that can support that paper education? That when the government policies and government programs arrive at your corridor, you'll be able to tap into the opportunities that are bound. I know that government from time to time conduct some trainings, some skill acquisition. For me as a legislator, having served in the House of Reps for 8 years, and now as a senator sitting, and possibly going back to my seat, I've actually organized a lot of trainings for the youths. But no matter how training you organize for the youths, if you do not give them startup capitals, it will definitely not work. But there are occasions where the government have actually extended such grants, some startup, maybe funding and some equipment. But is it enough? If you don't have the will to drive it, there's nobody that can give you will under the earth. You must have the will. You must be convinced. I always advise the youth, get yourself prepared so that when you see the opportunity will meet the preparedness and be able to materialize into who you'll be in future. But if you are not prepared, if you don't have the will, the government will never give you the will. But is government doing enough? The answer is no. The government is not doing enough, because you cannot just carry a training and land into a state where you don't even know how many youths that are qualified to go into the same training. You want to do training on technology. You are inviting somebody that read English, or somebody that read agriculture, or somebody that read history. Then you ask the person to immediately come and adapt to the training. It doesn't really work. I've had the opportunity of engaging the Minister of Youth and Sports and said that you have to categorize your trainings. You need to put them in compartments. You need to put them in batches so that your training will suit the trainees. You know, if the trainer does not have the right trainees, it will be difficult for that trainer to impact meaningfully on those youths. So having said that, I know that we are working very hard. We have legislations we have passed in the past. We also have a lot coming up where, of course, that will help us to sharpen and streamline and strengthen the policies of this government to ensure that youth restiveness is actually reduced to the minimum. And I want you to also understand that the category of the youths we have today in Nigeria, especially youths between, now we don't even know how to categorize our youths. Somebody will graduate, 10 years, 20 years, the person is still looking for a job. At 40 years, 50 years, he's still answering youth. Also a youth. The person is still looking for a job. I went to House of Reps at the age of 36. At the age of 30, I haven't resigned from the bank, where I rose to manager, head private sector, and area manager in the bank before joining politics. The first thing my mother told me when I was in the university, my mother has 11 girls. 11 girls. So you can imagine a woman bringing up 11 girls. But she made us to understand that begging is never an option for you as a human being. You must work very hard to be who you want to be. So no matter what anybody trains you or wants you to be, if you don't want to help yourself, it will be difficult for you to be that. And she said at 18 years, at this point, you're the only one that can decide whether you want to be somebody or you don't want to be somebody. And from day one, because my mother has always said, 2 combinations will make you succeed in life. Prayers and hard work. If you pray, you don't work hard, it doesn't work. If you work hard, you don't pray, it does not work. So you must have the 2 combinations. When you work hard, you commit it in prayers, and you have faith and belief in yourself, definitely one day it will click. And for the young ladies out there, don't you ever be deterred by blackmail women face. We face a lot of blackmail. When you are working in office, if you get promotion as a young girl, if you get promotion, thank you so much for that applause. If you get promotion as a young girl, they will tag it to you sleeping with your manager. If you pass in the class, they will tag it to you sleeping with your lecturer. If you're a politician, you're doing well, they will tag it to you sleeping around with men. And I've always asked them, in Nigeria today, we have 36 governors as male governors. Have you asked them how many women they slept with to be governors in these states? In their states and in Nigeria? Have you ever asked them that? So to you young girls, I want to let you know that anytime you have an ambition to be somebody, close your ears, because the first thing a woman will tell you is that you're a prostitute. That's what will suffer everywhere. So you close your ears, eyes on the ball. This is my target. This is where I want to go. And this target, you give timelines for your target and you'll be able to meet it. When I was as young as you are, old age is coming very fast. When I was as young as you are, of course, any man you greet on the street, you go and market, she's sleeping with that marketer, she's sleeping with that. We are used to it. So don't allow the men to intimidate you by that singular story. Always know that this is what you want to achieve. This is what you want to achieve. And I've always heard people saying, train the girl child. Train the girl child. If you train only the girl child, you don't train the male child. The girl child will continue to suffer. As you're training the girl child, you have to train the male child to be responsible enough to respect the girl child so that both of them will grow together. Because there is danger in training the girl child. The male child will not come and kill the girl child. You haven't trained, you have not really, you lose everything. So it's important we know that these are the challenges. Well, a lot of challenges. I don't need to bug you. But having said this, I want to congratulate the young couples that are here, both male and female. And probably you're from different states, the Anambra State. Feel free. Our governor is doing very well. Governor Soludo is doing well in security. He's doing well in empowerment of the youth. That is why we have this platform to be here. And I want to convey my greetings and wishes to him through His Excellency, the Deputy Governor, who is here. I wasn't here when my sweethearts, the youngest and the most handsome speaker in Nigeria spoke. I wasn't here when he spoke, but I know he must have done justice to whatever that he said, and I'm happy he's here. He is one of the people you should look up to. If at this age, he's coming back again as the speaker, third-time speaker in Anambra State, it's a big achievement. You know what it means. So people like this should emulate because they worked hard to be where they are. I work hard to be where I am. And I believe every one of you should look at us. Don't look at how we work on the street. Don't think that this success came today. This success we're seeing us today started very long time ago. Based on what? Hard work, prayers, understanding, knowledge of the environment, and most importantly, commitment to duty. Commitment to duty. So I thank you so much, and I wish every one of you a wonderful deliberation.
A bigger applause for the senator. Keep clapping for the senator, please. Adiro Fele. Okay, remember that we're still talking about the responsibility of government in youth empowerment, especially now in Nigeria. And because the senator mentioned the speaker, I will have to come back to the speaker. Because this one, I believe you will give us clarity. Now the floods are here. And we have riverine areas that are already submerged. What does empowerment or intervention mean to that youth in, say, Obaru? And all those places where naturally fishing is the norm and some other things. How do we begin to intervene to give them a new lease of life? Now you can extend this to generally rural youth empowerment.
Thank you so much, Ife. First, let me explain one of the cardinal responsibilities of government. Section 14(2)(c) of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, they state that the primary responsibility of government is to provide security and welfare for the citizenry. And that is what this present administration is doing, with respect to the flood issue that you've just mentioned. As you can see, when the governor came in, he followed immediately his manifesto promises that definitely he's going to desilt all the drainages in Anambra State to make sure that the issue of flooding in Anambra State is, reduced. And that is why, thank God, our dear Deputy Governor is here. He was one that headed that team to make sure that Anambra State environmental impact assessment is what it is now. It has gotten from ground zero to up there, because all the refuse in Anambra State, all the desilting in Anambra State were done by him. We thank you, Excellency. So that is one, and that is one of the major reasons why the impact of the inflood in Anambra State is not as drastic as it used to be in the past, because we have all the drainages cleared. Then the second one is building of accessible roads. The government is actually doing that now. These are most of the things that the government believes that once they walk into, it is definitely going to help to curb the flooding. Now, talking about empowerment with respect to the flooding, like, the governor used to say, empowerment is not all about, giving people rice, buying all these things, but creating an opportunity, a platform for people to fish, or rather learn how to fish, not giving people fish, if you understand what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Because if you give somebody a bag of rice today and he finishes, are you going to come back tomorrow to give that person a bag of rice? The answer is no, because he may not be there. So why not teach the person how to cultivate rice so that that person will be independent for the rest of his life? Beautiful. And that is what this government is doing. We have, recently the government launched a program, One Youth, Two Skills program. I think you were there, Deputy Governor, you were there. What that simply means is nothing but our youth, come out of the street. Come, we are here to partner with you. Let's give you that training that you need so that you'll be independent on yourself. There is one thing, everybody in this life has a God-given talent. All you need to do is nothing but make out time for yourself to discover that talent in you and use it. Everybody must not be in school. I keep saying it everywhere. Everybody must not be a doctor. You must not be an engineer. There are professions. And I thank God that is what this show is all about. Trying to discover your talent. The music world in this country is in a great boom. Most of the millionaires we have today are musicians. Likewise, actors and actresses. These are things in the past when people are doing it. People like this person. But you wouldn't know that this talent is inherent in you. And that is why this government is coming out to say, we are here to partner with the youth. Come out, we will discover that talent in you. And that is what the Ministry of Youth, Youth and Creative Economy did by doing that One Youth, Two Skills. So, for those youths that are in the riverine area that have been affected by flood, the government have an initiative, for all of them. As a matter of fact, the Deputy Governor is aware. We'll be having meeting with the President Generals. As we speak now, there's a meeting going on at the government house with all the PGs, with the Secretary of the State Government. And the essence of that meeting is what the government needs to do, or what the government will do to make sure that we resuscitate the livelihood of all those people that have been affected by this flood, now that it is being rescinded. So, and that package is in place. As a matter of fact, we are collecting names, from all these areas. And I assure you, the government of His Excellency, Professor Charles Kuma Soludo, is definitely going to do it, so that the impact will not be much felt by the use of Anambra. Thank you so much.
A resounding clap for the speaker, please. Please clap for the speaker. Now we have clarity on that. I was wondering. Now we're back to the Deputy Governor, who is also a medical practitioner. And now it's about your profession, Mr. Deputy Governor, because now the government is talking about checking the JAPA syndrome, especially of medics. Our hospitals are understaffed and our medical doctors and nurses are leaving the country. How do we begin to reverse this trend? To encourage people to stay back, that even if you don't get to become Dr. Onyeka Chukwuibezim, who is in government, who has been serving as a public servant, that you can still have a life in Nigeria. How do we begin to encourage them? What can the government do differently?
Okay, just like I said before, that as we go on, issues will begin to spring up. Mr. Speaker has dealt well with some of the empowerment structures and the empowerment idea, just like our discussant here has done too. Now we are going medical. And I will also want to tell you that those that are leaving are mainly the youth. Okay? There is this movement from here to wherever, I don't know, because When you hear abroad, most people think it's America, UK, and all that. But people are even living to the neighboring African countries. And this is where it's worrisome. When I started this discussion, I talked of structures. I see coppers here. I feel the way you feel, because by the time your last Alawi comes, what next?
What next?
What next?
That's
I
the
think
question.
that's what is on your mind. And this is where the government comes in. And I told you earlier that I will also highlight some of the things that the governor has put in place. In his manifesto, he said he will make 1,000 millionaires every year. This has a multiplier effect, both in the health sector, in the tourism sector, wherever you are. The business of government has no business, I'll put it this way, in running business. Okay? Government just needs to put structures. A last discussant talked about security, which the governor is combating day by day. You know, nothing can happen in an atmosphere of insecurity. I'm sure most of you wouldn't have been seated here if we had done this program in the past 6-7 months. So it's when the government plays its part on some aspects of life, then investors will come in. Just a fortnight ago, I was talking to one of my colleagues. We all went through the same medical school. Of course, we started in Anambra here. My medical school was Nnamdi Azikiwe University. So most of us that are here, we didn't school abroad and come back. I know Uche must have done the same, and you. So we all passed through what you're passing. He's a professor of medicine in US, doing very well. The first thing he said to me, we want to reverse medical tourism. But that he's worried about one thing. And I guess the answer is in everybody's mind here. Security. Don't give us the money. Provide the security. Assure us that our life is safe here. And I will bring our colleagues in here and develop medical facilities. I know there are some medical corpers that are here, and even others. If you have medical facilities that are doing well, I guess it's not only doctors and nurses that work there. Engineers work. Accountants work there. So when we get to this level, this is where we reverse tourism. This is where we reverse the trend of pushing our money out. You will hear somebody tell you it's become a class thing over here. I just came back from my medical check. To where? Even when you go abroad, the doctors and the nurses that are there, the best of brains there, are Africans. And when you talk of Africans, they are Nigerians. So what are they looking up there? And as a government, I thank God for what is happening in Anambra State today. If you're a leader and you don't have a vision, you will never lead your people right. The governor has his vision and he thinks about the youth every day. Just some days ago, just like he said, about 2-point-something billion naira was earmarked for youth empowerment in Anambra State. We have the Nwaboy scheme. There is also what we call the entrepreneurship in Nwaboy skill, where if you're interested in any business, you don't, because the economy is not so good, we will link you up with somebody who knows that business very well. You have a kind of a tutelage through him, and then he mentors you. At the end of the day, the government will give you seed money to start your own business. The government has put this both in the medical sector and everywhere, wherever your interest lies, so that you don't see. I hear some youth say, education na scam. It is not scam. Oh. You know, when the job comes, they will tell you to bring your CV. And I'm sure you're here in this hall. The speaker is here, the aspiring member is here, and the senator just spoke and left. If you didn't go to school, if you don't have your certificate, I'm sure you wouldn't have been here. So this is what gives you ticket for life. Okay? So as we are thinking that in all sectors, we're also thinking as a doctor, I may be selfish in that sector. I don't want my colleagues to leave. I don't want my younger colleagues to leave too. Now, I will tell you, I have never, in my sojourn of life, walked outside this country. I'm a proper Nigerian. You may describe me as a proper Okuku Igbo. So I started my schooling here, and I always believed that one day I will make it in this country. What remained was for me to get myself ready, attend discussions like this, seminars like this. Nothing that you do as a youth is a waste, but we must all be part of this development. Key into the various activities of the government for a government that has vision. And thank God recently, votes are also beginning to count. Okay? The last election in Anambra State, with the BVN and others, I mean, it was a wonderful one, a test case for everyone. To elect your leaders, the leaders that has vision, the leaders that keys into your vision, the leaders that will make a difference in your path. This is the time to begin to walk the talk. I think we've been talking the talk so much.
Exactly.
So if you see somebody, if anybody, time has come now for campaign, and just like the moderator said, empowerment everywhere, empowerment everywhere. I'm sure by now, all the youths here, the coppers here, you must know yourself which one is the real empowerment or the empowerment as usual. When you see structure, you will know. The government of the day of Anambra State, look through what they're doing, the coppers, and all the other youths that are here, both the employed and the unemployed. Go to the government website. You will see various activities in various sectors. There is a stepwise progress.
Okay.
And I believe with this, we will get there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Deputy Governor. For everyone who's dropped a question, we hope that in offering their thoughts during this discussion, this interaction, that you got your answer. Finally, as we close, I'd like to hear from Mr. Mekiwe. On this stage, I have different people, progressives from different parties. How do we begin to, beyond party affiliation, come together to get things working for Nigerian youth to actually get what they bargained for when they elect people? Beyond party, no more party politics, but about delivering now. How do we begin to close ranks?
Thank you very much. I think the first thing we need to do is ask the right questions. That's the first thing. The second thing is the youth. I can see some people with NYCN caps. Build the youth. Build the youth. The second thing is the youth needs to get involved in politics. Very key. Politics affects everything you do in life. That you get good education, politics. That you have the right medical tourism in your country, politics. Good infrastructure, politics. Everything you need in life, politics. And how do you get involved in politics? From your ward. It's not during voting. Anybody that thinks that when I have my PVC, when it's time to vote, I will go and vote the right candidate. Wrong. You need to get involved in the words, because it's through the words that the right people that have the intellect, the heart to do well, that is where they are thrown up. If all your candidates are bad, what do? You start looking for the best out of the worst. Is that not so? But if you are involved from the word, you will make sure that the people that come out of the primaries to become candidates are people that have the capacity and capability to do well in leadership. Leadership, meanwhile, is service. It is not, what would I use? It is not a right. It is service. Service to humanity. It's a job. It is supposed to be done just the way you do interviews to elect CEOs of companies. That is what it is. You pick the best brain, put them in the right position, and they will do well. That is it. If you leave that and we'll have what we have today, we will never move forward. We will never move forward.
I think they deserve a rousing applause and a standing ovation. Please, let's be upstanding as we appreciate the Deputy Governor. Thank you so much, Mr. Deputy Governor. Please, let's stand. We are rounding off. Thank you so much, Mr. Deputy Governor, for your thoughts. Thank you so much, Honorable Uche Okafor Episeni, the youngest speaker in Nigeria, the cutest, right? And of course, Mr. Emeka Igwe. Thank you so much. And we appreciate you as they exit the stage. Thank you. And please, we'll have a photo session now with the organizers of this event. So please, Deputy, here please, right here on stage. Thank you. A quick photo session with the organizers and possibly representatives from the different groups who are present here.